Okay, I was worried there's another cyber attack. Okay.
First question. Next.
Yeah. Yeah, so I was going to say, okay, so let me also just add, okay, so I still have like a ton of questions, but again,
Hey, I'm willing to go till the end.
okay, so there's a couple things that I
Don't
just
feel
want,
rushed because this is going to go so massively viral because we're going into so much depth and detail that I've never done with anybody yet.
Okay.
Because no one has had the preparation and, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, well, I watched a ton of videos. I mean, I collected a lot of thoughts on it. Yeah. Okay. So let me just try to also give, again, there's more context to many of the things that I want to ask about, even after all the stuff. I mean, most of the stuff we just talked about in the last section was stuff that happened in 2020, right? So we haven't even talked about any of the corruption that is happening like right now. Okay. So,
no, this is just all the same people are going to pop up.
Yeah. Okay.
Because I'm going to have you go back as I reference some of the people that I just mentioned.
Yeah. Okay. So let me just talk about some of the things real quickly. Just say some of the things that have happened and are happening recently. So let's see. So these are pertinent current events evidencing the government weaponization against Americans. So Trump and Flynn were spied on by the U.S. government. They impeached Trump for no reason. They rigged the 2020 election against Trump. They mislabeled the January 6th protesters as insurrectionists. They labeled MAGA and Trump as racist Hitler Nazis. They put Americans in jail for internet memes. They tried to remove Trump from the ballots. They lawfared Trump and are working to put him in jail currently. They denied RFK Secret Service. They systematically weakened the Secret Service with DEI efforts. They SWAT raided Roger Stone, Steve Bannon, and Trump, and finally tried to murder Trump by successfully shooting him in the head with a bullet. So all this giant list is evidence that the government has been weaponized. Okay, a couple other things to say.
Pause.
Yeah, pause.
No,
okay,
no,
pause.
I can't let you just go and
okay,
just
pause.
cover it with such super at the superficial layer. Let me get a little bit more context to that.
Okay.
So Trump and Flynn were spied on. Got it. Impeached for no reason.
Yeah.
I don't know how much you want to go into this, but after, so remember, so first they get Trump, General Flynn kicked out, and then they start to weaponize against him with the lawfare, which stops him from being able to communicate with President Trump because it bogs General Flynn down to the point where he can't advise Trump about his like blind spots. No, he has all the blind spots, and every blind spot can be covered by General Flynn. But those blind spots are told to him, to Trump. Oh, Mike Pence has got it. He knows what it. So you're getting it filtered from Pence, who's in on it, as I explained, through his chief of staff and his wife.
Right. So it's suspected that. Okay, so suspected that Pence is in on this.
Yes. So next up is 2017 early. We talked about it. The removal of General Flynn, and then just for full disclosure, I was in the vetting process to take on a role for General Flynn on the National Security Council to work for him.
Mm-hmm.
Good chance it would have been what Vindman ended up taking. Alexander Vindman for the later National Security Advisor. Keep that in mind. Keep that in mind, folks. How the course of history just changed with these treasonous scum. All right. So anyway, 2017 rolls around. May of 2017. Who gets fired? Jim Comey, because they suspect something.
Yeah.
And so what happens next? Sally Yates is fired. Jim Comey's fired. Ooh, the uniparty deep state cabal is now concerned. We must foist our beloved FBI director on Donald Trump so we can continue to handle him. How do they propose to do that? The Bush-Cheney family advocates through Mike Pence. Why don't you go ahead and tee up our former FBI director, Roberto Mueller? Good old Robert Mueller.
Right.
And guess what happens? President Trump's like, no, I'm not going to hire him.
Right.
So then what does Mike Pence, this is speculation. I think Mike Pence, after that happens, contacts he and or the Bush family syndicate, calls Rod Rosenstein. We talked about Rod Rosenstein. He was up there as the deputy attorney general. They call him and say, hey, since Trump will not take in Robert Mueller as the FBI director so we can continue to cover up our stuff
Right.
and keep him in a box and handle him, why don't you appoint him as the Russia hoax perpetuator as part of the Mueller team?
Wait, appoint who? Rod Rosenstein?
Rod Rosenstein appoints Robert Mueller to be the special counsel
Okay.
to perpetuate the next phase
Right.
of the Russia
Oh,
hoax.
that was the Mueller report.
The Mueller investigation.
Yeah.
And the report.
So
let's back up and think about
so
this.
wait. So let me just say quick. So Pence was actually pitching the guy to Trump to appoint him to the FBI directorship position, and that was the same guy who led the Russia investigation. Is that correct?
So I don't have direct evidence to support that. That part is my extrapolated, you can call it speculation, best guess of who was involved in actually, let's make the same assumptions that I'm making. I'll kind of step you through of what assumptions I'm making to get to this conclusion.
Okay.
Who in Trump's orbit would be the ones that would be most interested and knowledgeable of who to recommend to be the FBI director to replace Jim Comey? Let's start with that.
Yeah, I mean, it's either I'm only thinking Pence, or I'm thinking there was the one general who, after Reince Priebus, was appointed as his staff director. I can't remember his name.
Who in the collective political Republican circles would be interested in recommending Robert Mueller to be the FBI director? Could it be the previous person that appointed him as the FBI director?
Oh, but you're saying Bush?
Yeah, is that? I mean, is that a decent assumption?
Yeah, probably. If he was,
that is the assumption that I'm making.
I see.
And so, if you agree with that assumption, and you see and agree that I'm sure there's a lot of communications between Bush and Cheney and Pence, based on the totality of the external evidence, then you can make the next assumption of they are probably working together to replace Comey with their beloved Robert Mueller.
So wait, let me ask one question quick. I interrupt here, ask a question. Is it documented for sure that Pence actually ended up pitching Robert Mueller?
That's what I'm saying. I have not seen any evidence documented that that's the case. I'm saying it based on a series of assumptions.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, but
it is which means in intel speak, if that is an intelligence gap,
okay,
I'm filling it with assumptions until we can get an investigative pathway to take a look at all meetings, all text messages, all emails and communications of Mike Pence.
No, no. So you're
saying George Bush.
You're saying there's an intelligence
of his chief of staff, Josh Pitcock.
But okay, so let me just clarify again. My question is, did somebody, regardless of motivation, did somebody actually go to Trump and say, you should nominate this guy, Robert Mueller? Did that happen?
Well, I'm going to answer this with a question. Do you think President Trump knows anybody in his ecosystem that would be interested in being the FBI director of his business associates and colleagues that are making millions of dollars to become the FBI director?
I don't know.
That Donald Trump would be like, hey, I want you to be my FBI director. Or is he relying on others around him? And if he's relying on others, who are those people that he's relying on? The ones that are with him at all times are who?
Pence. I mean, VP Pence. Yeah, for sure.
Pence. And who's not with them and can't communicate with them?
So okay, so wait, who did actually get appointed as the FBI director? I can't remember. After Comey.
Well, let me continue.
Okay.
So a good question, John. All right, so Rod Rosenstein appoints Mueller to be the special counsel after he's not selected as the FBI director. So he's put in as a role in order to perpetuate the cover-up and the hoax.
Right.
A little side note on Rod Rosenstein. Take notes.
Okay.
This is so important. Rod Rosenstein in 2005, the same year that Bush Jr. appoints the Chief Justice John Roberts, within a few months, he's appointing Rod Rosenstein to be the U.S. Attorney for the District of Baltimore.
Okay.
Out of the 93, 94 U.S. attorneys in the country, the only one to be a holdover from Bush to Obama is Rod Rosenstein. Interesting. What are some assumptions you can make from that?
He knows a lot. He's deeply connected to the deep state. I don't know.
I would agree with those assumptions.
Okay.
So what dirt does he have, and who does he have dirt on to be able to maintain his position on behalf of the Bush syndicate that appointed him? Okay. So he's the longest standing at the time. He becomes the longest standing U.S. attorney in America.
Okay.
Interesting. Just a little data point. And then, he goes through the motions, and then he becomes appointed as the Deputy Attorney General.
Okay.
So if you have that in mind, that there's some investigative things that need to be looked at, right? Maybe you'll help me out with that.
Yeah.
To deep dive into this guy and the Dirty Tricks Squad in Baltimore. Tricks.
I mean, anybody associated with Baltimore would make me skeptical.
With Rod Rosenstein. So anyway, that's something to look into.
Okay.
So with Rod Rosenstein, he appoints the Bush's beloved, I call it the Bush's beloved Mueller, to perpetuate the hoax. But the deputy for the Mueller team is Andrew Weissmann.
Okay, so this is under the Mueller report. There is Andrew Weissmann.
So the head person is Robert Mueller.
Yep.
The deputy is Andrew Weissmann. And why don't you take a look and note the book License to Lie, written by Sidney Powell in
that sounds like
2014.
Okay.
Which talks about at length Andrew Weissmann's role in illegally putting together two criminal statutes to fantastically come up with, in a fairy tale, another statute that he creates in order to somehow criminalize Enron executives, of which Sidney Powell helped the effort to have that overturned 9-0.
So this guy,
in her book, she lays out the corruption of Andy Weissmann, and he gets promoted up the chain because of it. She knows the details of the FBI, DOJ scum.
So you're saying in the FBI, in order to get promoted, they actually ask you to do illegal things, and if you do some illegal things, then you're sort of like godfathered into the system, and then you get.
I'm not saying that. I'm saying that the evidence is consistent with that assertion.
Okay. Well, I mean, I agree. I think the FBI is completely corrupt. Okay.
So that's yeah, I'll leave it at that. Remember, as a reminder, I spent 25 years in the system. I may know at least one person that I've known for decades, and each of these elements and components that let's just say may or may not give me some insight and context within their legal framework to do so, to confirm or deny my hypotheses.
Okay. So wait, let me also just say one more thing. So it seems like the overall theme is that if we were to like peg, one of my questions later is like, who is the deep state? And it seems like the deep
we're
state,
laying it out here. We're building the blocks.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. And so it seems like the deep state is primarily the FBI. Would you agree with that? Or no?
I'm laying out it's one of the two major components.
Yeah, okay.
And former and current CIA, which I haven't even gotten into that yet. Okay, because we're kind of focused right now on the FBI.
Yeah.
But yes, they are definitely top tier, maybe number one, likely number one. But number two or tied for first would be the CIA actors that we're going to lay out here shortly.
Okay, so because that was actually one of my questions is who is the deep state, and so you would argue that the major components are the FBI and the CIA. I think that's an important thing to say. Um, okay, so now let me ask a follow up
Okay,
question.
did we kind of flesh that out? Oh yeah, so
Yeah.
going back, no, go up.
Okay,
We only covered the first phrase.
the first phase. Okay,
No, go down
first phrase.
first phrase of that next
Oh,
section that
you're
you
saying
had.
the FBI. You're saying the
So
FBI. We haven't covered the CIA.
hold on.
Okay.
Impeach Trump for no reason.
Yeah.
So when the Mueller investigation concluded
Oh, this I see. Okay, yeah.
and it flopped, they couldn't find any Russia. The next phase of that op, in the middle of that, they created what's known as the Foreign Influence Task Force at the FBI, which institutionalized the Russia hoax to create a funding stream, right?
Yes.
And
So,
say that the FITF, and the
FIDF.
section chief of the FITF becomes Laura Demlow.
Laura Demlow.
TEHMLOW.
MLOW.
She's now the number 2 person, deputy for counterintelligence at the Office of Director for National Intelligence. Anyway, that's fast forwarding too much. So Laura Demlow.
Wait. Let's talk about this because I was very interested. I saw a video I think where you talked about this, the Foreign Influence Task Force. So this is within the FBI, and this is something that allows them to investigate anybody who has some kind of a Russia connection. Is that correct?
Right. So remember when they said that the Russians manipulated the internet to such a degree that it caused Donald Trump to win.
Yes.
Blame it on Russia. Okay.
Right. They said that. Yeah.
Well, so far we've laid out how that's been completely bogus and debunked with what they did to Flynn and Carter Page. It was all above board, etc.
Right.
But they had to continue to perpetuate the hoax to cover up for their transgressions. One method of doing that was to institutionalize an entity, a section here, to basically say, oh, we're going to counter foreign interference in our elections with a specific focus on Russia. This is the entity that was created.
Okay. So I wanted to ask about this because something specific. In 2020, I ran for U.S. Senate in a primary. Okay, I was primarying against Tommy Tuberville and some other minor candidates in this field, and it was kind of a joke, but it was also kind of real. And what I was doing is I had a Twitter 1.0 account with a Periscope account, and I was doing Periscopes every day. And every morning there were these weird Russian. I mean, maybe they were bots, but they were Russian speaking like language internet actors coming into my Periscopes, and they were posting Russian comments. And I always suspected those were probably FBI agents. Like I always wondered if there were FBI agents like creating these bots to post Russian language into my chat so that they could like spy on me. And so I'm wondering, like, is there any? Do you know anything about this Foreign Influence Task Force at the FBI? And do you know anything about how they might manipulate the system to target Americans?
I don't know specifically, but I could find out.
Yeah.
Now, in addition to that, I want to highlight another individual. So you have the section chief, Laura Demlow. Remember, this was created by, you asked me, who ended up becoming the FBI director instead of Mueller? It ended up becoming Christopher Wray at the time, who later changed his name after January 6th to Christopher Wray Epps.
Wray Epps, okay.
I'm being facetious. I'm joking when I say that.
I thought Ray Epps is the guy who they think did the January 6th, right? Okay.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I say Chris Wray, because his name is Christopher Wray, W-R-A-Y.
He was probably influenced.
And then I basically say he changed his name to Christopher Wray Epps.
Right, got it.
But say Chris Wray. So a little background on Chris Wray before we continue. Christopher Wray was the attorney for Chris Christie. Remember the governor from New Jersey?
Yeah.
when he was involved in that Bridgegate scandal. So Chris Wray is, let's just say, tight with Chris Christie.
And Christie is no fan of Trump's.
Right. And so, Chris, you'll start to see why that is in the relationships. It's pretty evident. Now, Chris Wray, also a former partner at a law firm in Atlanta called King and Spalding, Spalding. Please take notes.
Okay.
And another partner at King and Spalding that's worthy of note is a gal by the name of Sally Yates, the former acting attorney general during that Crossfire Hurricane illegal spying op that was in the January 5th meeting that was to determine the fate of General Flynn, since they had nothing and they had to create something.
Right. So essentially everybody that keeps getting appointed to the FBI constantly has connections to these cover-ups. That's kind of like what's happening. That's the pattern that's emerging.
That's the theme. Yeah, that's the pattern. All right. So Christopher Wray creates the FIDF, and then Laura Demlow heads up that section. And guess who the supervisory intel analyst is for that foreign influence task force? His first name is Brian, and his last name is Auten.
Definitely, we had that guy before. Where was?
Wait, what? Are you telling me that that's the guy that was on Crossfire Hurricane that gave the assessment along with the Kevin Kleinsmith doctored email to get the FISA court to spy on Carter Page? Is that the same Brian Auten you're talking about, John?
Yeah. Oh, this guy. There we go. We highlighted his name. Okay, so that's the guy that's involved with highlighting or with falsifying the Woods file.
He was the supervisory intel analyst on the Crossfire Hurricane op, and then was promoted to be the FIDF supervisory intel analyst in order to.
So that's shocking that people who were clearly like working to undermine Trump keep getting promoted within his system. Like, that's kind of shocking. How is it just that the swamp is so?
Well, he has no clue.
Yeah,
and the only guy that could get to it to expose this is General Flynn, of which Mike Pence fired to create that blocking force.
Yeah, so it seems like the problem is just Trump doesn't know the names of people who like are in this system. And so he just, I guess, is delegating promotions, and the deep state is just solidifying itself.
They're just running circles around him.
Yeah, that's problematic, but this could also be used to advise in the future, a future presidency. I mean, it seems like you really have to clear out the entire system.
Yeah. I agree. Similar to how Elon Musk did to Twitter 1.0.
Yeah.
To the tune of 80 to 90%.
Okay, so so was there something else you wanted to say about this? Okay, so this is the connection to the impeachment.
Impeachment. So as Mueller comes out with his Mueller investigation, of which I read a couple times, there's no Russia collusion. Right. So what happens? He testifies before Congress. It's a dud. Everyone sees that he has dementia while he's trying to testify, if you watch the actual hearing. And so now the cabal springs into action to go into the next cover-up, which is the perfect phone call.
Oh. I shall meet death head on. Nigga Cage, you've got to get out of here.